to another video of Travel with Kirsten. In this video, you asked me questions that I'm going to answer. If you're new here, my name is Kirsten Quigley. I'm a recent graduate from North Carolina State University. I graduated with a degree in Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Management with a concentration in sustainable tourism. So that is why I created this platform to share the sustainable side of tourism and how we could travel more sustainably. Oh, also, if you don't know, this is my dog Peanut. He will probably be in a lot of my videos like this because he is attached to his mama's hip. So before we get into the questions that you guys asked, don't forget to like this video, comment if you have anything to say, and do not forget to hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos that I upload every Thursday. Let's get into it. Okay, so my questions are basically either like sustainability focused or tourism focused. Some of them both. Let's go ahead and start off with this first one. I think it's a great way to start the video. First question was, what are some sites I can use to help me travel sustainable or live sustainable? So the other day I actually looked up the most sustainable like tourism or like travel companies. And I came across this magazine from Pebble magazine and this article that was written by a lady named Georgina Wilson Powell. She's very credible. She's written many things, all sustainability focused. She even has her own book. I looked her up on LinkedIn, you know, credible woman who wrote it, credible source that it's coming from, this magazine. And it was also posted in March of 2022, which means it is recent knowledge and it's up to date. So, anyways though, I came across this website and I will also link it in the description from Pebble magazine, and it was top 12 eco-friendly travel companies. So right there, that's exactly a place to start. I'm going to list them all right here. These are all 12. And each company kind of has their own little thing. Some of them are more excursion based, some of them are itinerary based. But yeah, they each have their own little thing, but that's definitely a good place to start to help you plan your sustainable travels. The next question was, how can I become more sustainable? It's definitely little steps, and I'm still in the very beginning steps of my sustainable lifestyle. So the easiest thing you could do is just observe your general day-to-day kind of life operations. So after you go ahead and just kind of observe your life, then you can start to pick out how you want to adapt it and change it. So the easiest things everyone typically always starts with, I know I did, drop the water bottles, the plastic water bottles. Stop using them, stop buying them, switch it out for a hydro flask. You're going to want to observe your life, observe the things you use and kind of what you do, and switch out the little things. So replace your plastic water bottles with reusable ones. When you go grocery shopping, bring your own bags. And then also even start carpooling a little more. If you have a friend that lives close to you that you guys can go to work together, go ahead and carpool. Just little things like that, and then as you get comfortable with that, you can kind of reevaluate and observe your lifestyle again, and little by little pick up on more things and more. And then as you piece it all together, overspan, then next thing you know, you're living a completely sustainable lifestyle. So this next question I got asked was, what are the most sustainable countries? So like anyone else, I went into Google, I typed in top sustainable countries. I ended up coming across a research study that was performed by Yale University Center for Environmental Law and Policy. And what they did was they based this off of an environmental performance index. So it's a statistical method of computing the collective environmental impact of all of a country's policies combined. So I put that little blurb up here just in case you want to read a little more about it. But basically, at the end of the day, we can trust a credible source of information that this is coming from. With that being said, the top 10 most environmentally friendly countries in the world, I'll go from 10 to 1. So 10th is Germany, 9th Norway, 8th Sweden, 7th Finland, 6th Austria, 5th France, 4th United Kingdom, 3rd Switzerland, 2 Luxembourg, and in first place we have Denmark. This is all rated on a scale as well, so it's a numerical listing that shows you how they're ranked. Again, all of these sources and all of these links will be posted in the description. If you want to see it for yourself, go ahead and take a look. So this next question is a good one. What is greenwashing? Let's talk about it, because it's serious and it's a real thing and a lot of people fall for it. Basically, greenwashing is when companies or organizations, it's a whole PR marketing scheme, okay? So let's take Earth Day and Earth Month, for example. You have all these companies promoting their new green colored things and earth tones and this and that for supporting Earth Day. But really, they're just, once again, promoting their own things, promoting their own business to profit. Everything is just a profit at the end of the day. So another thing to note about greenwashing too, this is actually like the main thing, but while they're promoting these like marketing efforts, they'll never actually show real data that shows they're actually being a sustainable company. I talked about this actually a little with offsetting your carbon footprint. There will be places that you can offset, but if they don't show you what they're actually doing, it's hard to believe. So honestly, the minute you see a company and they start making claims about they care about Earth and this and that, go to their page, go to that company's page, look and see if they have even a sustainability tab. If not, they're liars and they're 100% greenwashing you. And so, this next question, now we're getting into more of the travel. It is, how do you travel sustainably? So I also made a video on this on how I could be a more sustainable traveler. Go ahead and watch that if you do want to see how I can be better. But I will share what I have learned. So, sustainable tourism has 3 dimensions: environmental, economic, and social, also known as planet, people, and profits. So, when you're traveling, so you want to look at each thing you're doing. So, look at your travels, look at what you've planned or what you want to plan, and kind of see, like, how is this going to affect the environment? How is this going to affect the people there? How is this going to affect who gets this money that I'm pouring into these companies? Let's look at a cruise, okay? Environmentally, awful. All the pollution from that, most likely garbage going into the ocean. Terrible for the environment. Economic. You are paying a cruise. So let's say you're American like me and you're going out of America. You are paying an American company to take you to all these countries, and those countries are maybe getting what? The $7 you spent on a bracelet that you bought there? That's it. And social is people. You're going to these places. You and however many people a cruise can hold all get off of this cruise and you go into this place and you overcrowd, and think of the locals there. You know, like, they're enjoying their day. All these people get off. They can feel intruded in their own land, okay? I kind of went off there for a little because cruises, you know me and cruises beef, and I get that from my professor that I mentioned in a previous video, Duarte, he knows. But I feel like that was the easiest way for me to kind of talk about traveling sustainably and how to look at the 3 dimensions of environment, economic, and social. Along with that too, if you're going to a place you're not too familiar with, like, how can I respect these people that I'm going to? How can I give my money to this place, make sure I'm buying locally? Things like that. So there's also the leave no trace rule. So basically, whenever you go somewhere, you want to leave like it's not touched. Take your pictures, do this and do that, but when you leave, it should look untouched. So yeah, the leave no trace rule is what I was talking about. But basically, you want a place to look exactly how it was when you got there, okay? We do not want to travel and ruin it for people of the next years or the next travelers, you know? You don't want to do that. You want them to have the experience that you did, which is why we need to leave things untouched and we need to respect our land that Mother Nature has given us, okay? Thank you. So, what are some travel tips for people just starting? Honestly, 1, just go for it, okay? But you do want to think about it because it is an investment. It could be expensive, and I mean, it's an experience overall. So, one thing you could do is find out what traveler you are. If you're totally stumped and you don't know what you want to do, there's different websites out there that you can find out what type of traveler you are. I'll go ahead and link them in the description as well. I know there's one specifically that I like, so I'll link that one. But it'll tell you what kind of traveler you are. Do you want to go for a specific vacation? Do you want to go to sightsee? Do you want to go to work with people of that culture and the heritage there? It's just, you got to figure out why you are traveling. What is the motive? What is the purpose? With that too, do you want to go by yourself or do you want to go with a group of people? And then the last little tip I would give for somebody who's just starting to travel is do not overload your trip. You can always show up and you can always add more later. But the last thing you want to do is overload your trip, get stressed out, get crunched on time, especially flying days. I honestly would refrain from planning things on actual travel days, just in case a flight gets canceled or you miss a train or something, just anything gets delayed or pushed back. You don't even have to worry. Of course, you do miss a day of travel, which stinks, but you don't miss an excursion that you might not be able to get your money back for or anything like that. Okay, so my next question was, what is at the top of your list to travel to? Italy. 100% Italy. My passport just came in, and I want my first place to be Italy because I am Italian. Somebody in my family did the DNA test, and it brought us back to Sicily, Italy, so I would love to go there, just kind of see and live with my roots for a little. And I've heard nothing but great things about Italy, so that is definitely my number one place I would like to go. My next question that I got is, what is the most interesting place you visited? And since I sadly have not left the country yet, I've been around the US. But surprisingly as it is, the most interesting place that I have visited was the Outer Banks. And I say this because I sort of became a local there. I did my internship there last year in the summertime, so I was there for 10 to 12 weeks, somewhere between that. And so I watched travelers come in and out all the time, and I watched the real genuine locals, the real authentic locals who actually grew up there and lived there. I just watched them live their lives and how the island operated, and it was so interesting to me because I was like, man, like, I felt so disconnected from the real world, kind of. It was literally like its own little world out there. And then while I was there, I went to Ocracoke Island. That was even more interesting because it was just so much smaller. Like, me trying to imagine growing up in a, like, on an island like that where you have to ferry to and just kind of get around, like, only what you know. It was just, like, it was really different for me to think about, especially growing up in New Jersey where I had Philly, I had the shore, I had New York above me, and I had DC below me, so that was very interesting. And a culture shock for me because I was so used to just access to things all over, and Outer Banks is not like that. Another question was, what do you think is the most stressful thing about traveling? And I definitely think it's safety. I would go anywhere in the world. Like, I would love for an offer to fall into my lap and be like, you're going here on this day and this time. Just go. And for me to be like, absolutely, yes, okay. But unfortunately, it's not like that, and you have to look up where you're going. You have to make sure, like, sometimes places aren't good to solo travel. And there are a lot of places you can, but, you know, like, I mean, especially me as a woman, like, I have to be careful. You just have to be careful where you go because if you don't know the location, if you don't know the area, you don't know, essentially you don't know what you're getting yourself into, right? So one of the most stressful things about traveling to me is definitely safety. And my last question of this video is, what forms of transportation do you like to use when you travel? So, as a sustainable advocate, I shouldn't be saying this, but flying. I love flying. And I think, again, just like anyone else, probably just for the aesthetic of it. Because it's just like, I don't know, it makes the trip like feel real to me, in a sense. It just hits a little different when you fly in and you have family members pick you up. And you just know what the airport looks like, you know, like the terminals and the different, you know, wings of an airport. I just love the whole aesthetic of all of that. And getting on the plane, talking to the flight attendants. They bring you little snacks and drinks, you know, like, that's all good, that's all amazing. Unfortunately, though, it is the most unsustainable way to get around. But I also live in America, where we don't have public transportation like we should. So, unfortunately, yeah. I could drive too, but I hate driving. So, yeah, flying is my favorite form of transportation, or the one I do like to use. I do think, though, that if we had better public transportation here in the U.S., I would frequently use that much more than flying. Also, especially since we have Peanut here, we need to learn how to fly with him, and I don't want to put him in the cargo, so that's going to be a whole nother adventure. But yeah, I think if we had public transportation, that would be my favorite way to use, and I would probably like that the most. So those were all of the questions that I got on my Instagram story. Thank you so much if you asked them. Thank you so much for watching this video and following me along my traveling journey. My travel career that I aspire to get into one day. I hope I inspire you to travel more. I hope I inspire you to travel more sustainably. I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, comment what you learned, or comment an emoji that maybe looks like what you learned. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram. I also have a Facebook page. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!